Hey, welcome back to Postal Barbecue. I'm Jabin Postal, and today at the grill, I want to show you how to smoke a beef brisket flat using the Kettle grill. This method is incredibly easy, and you're left with juicy and tender brisket every single time. And so just like always, I'm going to put all the show notes as well as the full recipe in the description box below, so make sure to click down there to see everything that you need for this cook. Also, if you like what we're doing on this channel, consider subscribing for more great barbecue recipes, tutorials, and reviews. And other than that, let's get into the cook. As I said, welcome back to Postal Barbecue. I appreciate you being here. Today at the grill, I want to show you how to smoke up a delicious brisket flat. And when it comes to brisket, you often see people cooking the full packer brisket, which is the flat section as well as the point section all together. But often you can find some really great deals on just the flat section like what we have here today. And so we're going to be smoking this and then slicing it into those classic brisket slices. And so to get started with this brisket, we're going to first of all just clean it up. You can see that we have some large fat deposits on the top section, as well as when we flip it over, we have our fat cap. We're going to leave all of this because there's not much there to begin with. And then this brown section here. And so we're going to start by slicing this off. We're going to round up some of our corners. And again, with these sharp corners, we want to just round them out because they're just going to dry out when they hit the smoker. There we go. We'll flip that over. Then we'll remove some of these large fat deposits. All right, that looks nice. And so when it comes to trimming, we want to make sure that our brisket flat has a nice sleek shape. You'll notice that we did round off some of our edges, trimmed off some of that fat. And this is the same method I would use when cooking a full packer brisket. And I'll make sure to put a link in the description box for you on how to trim a full packer brisket and cook a full packer brisket to help you out if you're going that method. And so with this all trimmed up, let's go ahead and hit it with some mustard. This is going to be a little bit of a binder, a little bit of a glue for our rub to stick to today. There we go. And then to season it today, we're going to be using my Mad Cow beef rub. This stuff goes really great on brisket. It's got the right amount of salt and pepper and spice in it. And so we're going to liberally coat the outside of this brisket. And so I'm going to season our fat cap side first because I am going to put the fat cap down. There we go. And we'll grab this and flip it over and we'll season our top section. And this is going to be our presentation side. And so again, we're just going to liberally coat the outside of this brisket flat. All right, there we go. This looks really nice. And so at this point, you could put it in the fridge overnight to dry brine this brisket flat. But today, because of time, I'm gonna let the salts penetrate into this brisket over time as it cooks. And so with everything all prepared, let's go ahead and get the slow and sear kettle set up for cooking around 275 degrees. So to set up our grill today, I placed in about 15 to 20 briquettes into the slow and sear, and I got them fully lit using my Grill Blazer sous vide gun. This thing gets your coals going super fast. Once they're fully lit, I then filled up the remainder of the slow and sear basket with unlit briquettes. I also added hot water to the water reservoir just to add a little bit of steam as it cooks. I then closed the lid and let that grill come up to temperature. So with our grill sitting around 275 degrees, let's go ahead and get this brisket flat onto the grill opposite the coals. And like I said, I'm going to go fat cap down on this, as well as you'll notice that I'm just going to compress this meat a little bit, and this is going to help just give a better overall cook. Next, I'm going to take a digital meat thermometer, and I'm going to place this into the center of the brisket. Go. And then lastly, I'm going to take a little bit of hardwood and place that over the coals. Today I'm going to be using a mix of hickory and cherry wood for this smoke today. So with everything on the grill, I'm going to close up this lid and we're going to begin smoking this brisket around 275 degrees, and we're going to come back around that 2-hour mark to take a look and also give it a spritz and just see how it's coming along. So I've been smoking this brisket flat for about 2 hours now, and our grill temperature has been rock steady around that 275-degree mark the entire time. And so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna open up the grill and we're just gonna take a look to see if it needs any help, if it needs a little bit of a spritz, to see if there's any moisture pooling that we need to get rid of. And so let's open up the grill and just take a look. Just look at this. You can see, first of all, there's a little bit of moisture that's pooling on that top section. And you can also see that around this point, it is drying out just a little bit. So I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water mixture. Let's get those edges. And then to address that moisture that's pooling right in the center, we're gonna take this block of wood and just gonna put it on the backside just to prop it up just a little bit. And this is just gonna help that moisture roll off, allowing us to form a little bit better of a bark. And so with everything all checked up, let's close up the lid. And we're gonna continue to cook this brisket flat until our bark is set. And this is gonna be another couple hours. And then at that point, we'll come back and take a look. We're now 5 hours into this cook, and our kettle has been rock steady around that 275-degree mark, and this brisket flat has just reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees and kind of just says stalled out there a little bit. And so I'm gonna open up the grill and we're just gonna take a look at it and see if it's time to wrap. All right, so just look at this. You can see that the bark is formed up nicely and it is fully set, some parts more set than others. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our brisket flat off the grill. We're gonna place it into our foil. So I've gone ahead and ripped off 2 sheets of aluminum foil. If you want to use butcher paper, go for it. With brisket flats, I like to use foil to wrap. It just kind of keeps that heat in and that moisture in a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is, before I wrap, I'm gonna give it one final spritz around the bottom. And then, again, just along those dry edges. We're gonna take our foil, gonna cover it this way. All right, that's nice and tight. And so let's get this back onto the grill. There we go. Then I'm gonna place my digital thermometer back into here, around that same spot. And then the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in a few more coals. So I'm gonna push these over. And then I'm gonna close up that grill grate as well as our lid. And then I'm gonna continue to cook this brisket flat until it reaches an internal temperature anywhere between 201 and 205 degrees usually. And this is where it becomes incredibly juicy and incredibly tender. And this is exactly what we're looking for. So I've been cooking this brisket flat for about 7.5 hours, again around that 275-degree mark, and our internal temperature has just reached 208 degrees. I did open up the grill and probed it for tenderness around that 204-degree mark, and it still wasn't quite done. It was still a little bit tough when I probed it, and so let's open up the grill and just see if it's done. You can see that when I probe it in a few different spots, my meat thermometer glides in nicely with little resistance. And so I'm gonna call this, our internal temperature is about 208 degrees. And so I'm gonna pull it off the grill. We're gonna let it rest for an hour and a half to 2 hours in a Cambro. And then after that, I'm gonna come back and we'll get ready for the taste test. Right, so just to recap this cook, I first of all trimmed up this brisket flat and then placed it onto the slow and sear kettle, cooking around 275 degrees for just over 7 hours. And then when it became probe tender, I removed it from the grill and let it rest for almost 2 hours. And the resting process is actually very important to cooking brisket and any large cut of meat like this, where you're pushing the temperatures. And so with it all done, it's time to slice into it and just see how we did. And so when you are cutting your brisket, you'll notice that there is a grain running from one side to the other. For this one, it's running this direction. And so we're gonna cut it against the grain in pencil thick type slices. And so let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's grab this slice here and just look at that. See how floppy this is. This is cooked to perfection. Oh my goodness. Let's do a pull test. Look at that. It's got some nice pull. This here is a perfectly cooked brisket flat. So let's go for a taste and see how we did. You know, when each bite just melts in your mouth, you know you nailed your brisket. Just look at this. You can see there's a nice smoke ring on the outside. It's incredibly floppy. Oh my goodness. This is so good. You know, cooking a brisket flat like we did today is a great option over a packer brisket because, you know, it speeds up your cooking time. You don't have to commit to a 12-hour cook. You can get this all done, you know, in 9 hours, including your rest. The flavor is on point. It's tender. It's incredibly delicious, especially using that mad cow beef rub that we put on the outside. I'm telling you, if you've never tried cooking a brisket flat like this before, make sure to give it a try because you're gonna love it for sure. Now, I need to get back into this brisket and enjoy my feast. It's tender, smoky, and incredibly delicious. This beef brisket flat is gonna be the star of the show every single time. Hey, if you wanna see more barbecue videos just like this, so make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. Also, special thank you to all my patrons out there who help support this channel every single week. Until next time, keep that fire lit and get cooking.